it was interesting that Ty said, yeah, the coach, if I don't like him, that doesn't really matter because I don't know, maybe
Ty said it's on him, the player, to play. It doesn't matter whether you have a player's coach or not. I mean, do you really think that was a shot at Joe Judge anyway? I know, Curtis, your lead was that it was, right?
Of course. I mean, how could you not? I mean, who's smarter than Devin McCourty when it comes to current players? Who's more media savvy? He could have easily provided that report from McKinney saying that they really love playing for a player's coach in Brian Daboll without mentioning Joe Judge's name and making the same point. He's there having his one audition. He knows the whole world's going to see it, and he said it that way. I mean, and this is a guy that's been willing to criticize Belichick. Last year, they lost in overtime to the Cowboys. He complained about the scheme they were using against Dak postgame. So he's not afraid to be honest about how he feels.
And I don't think he's necessarily criticizing Joe Judge here.
Yeah,
I think he's criticizing.
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying that the players that are with the Giants criticized the difference of what it was like to be now with Brian Daboll versus Joe Judge. Because he has no dealings whatsoever with Joe Judge, Devin McCourty, as a defensive guy, and Joe Judge being an offensive guy. Their paths probably don't even cross. So he's probably not criticizing him as a coach because he doesn't really know him as a coach unless he did some special team stuff for him. But I think it's more about the player that he was talking about who's played for the Giants is saying, oh, they're criticizing Joe Judge as a coach now that they see Brian Daboll. And I understand what Ty's saying. It shouldn't really be up to the coach. But Ty also said that it does help when you – and I think it was more about the relationship between Mac and Matt Patricia. And if they might be there, not be on the same page, how then it does
What was more about it?
The relationship.
But I don't know what you're saying. What would Devin McCourty's comment was?
No. I'm saying Ty Law and about Ty saying the players shouldn't be about the relationship they have. So when people go, well, Matt Patricia is not helping him and there's like this friction, it shouldn't be up to the player and Mac Jones to be like, well, it doesn't matter who my coach is. I need to go out there and perform.
Yeah. And people can say, well, then if Devin wasn't criticizing him, then why did he apologize? He didn't really apologize. He says, he's like, I'm sure headlines are going to run wild with this, but I was just comparing two guys. I probably shouldn't have used his name because people will run with that and they'll make it negative. And that's what everybody's done.
Well, what was he saying? Was he insinuating that it was a positive that Daboll was different than Judge or a negative?
Well, he's saying that he was talking about personality more than anything else.
Right. And was he saying the personality was better or worse?
Worse.
So then, of course, it's negative.
No, but I think, Curtis, I think you're reading into it because you want to determine that Bill's decision with regard to Matt Patricia and Joe Judge is a miserable failure.
So I don't want to determine that. I think that the results speak for themselves on offense, that it was a failure. And look at how well the Giants have performed in the absence of Judge.
And you can make that determination now, mid-season, halfway through the season, that the two of them are failures.
Yes, now you have players openly complaining about the opposing team knowing what plays they were running before it was snapped.
Well, it's a failure. Curtis, it's a failure in the sense Joe Judge failed last year with the Giants. As a head coach, we saw it. You brought up Josh McDaniels, right?
Yeah.
It's a failure. I don't really say Joe Judge here as a coach because he's just a quarterback coach, and I don't really know how much input he has on Sundays except sitting down and talking to Mac and seeing what Mac's seeing. Mm-hmm. Is it a failure between Mac and Matt Patricia? Yeah, because if you look at where Mac is this season versus last season, is it a step forward or is it a step back?
I think it's a regression. I think you were right.
And then a regression means it's a failure.
Yeah.
Right? So based on what the offense looks like this year, that is a failure. Now it's more about how do we figure out why it's failing? Is it Patricia or is it Mac or is it more Patricia, more Mac? That kind of thing. I think that's the bigger conversation. The Joe Judge element means absolutely nothing. He's a failure in the eyes of the Giants players because they feel like Brian Daboll is much better. Mm-hmm. And I've been around coaches. I couldn't stand Brad Childress. I didn't think he was a very good coach at all. So I understand when you're around a guy who's not a good coach, but I also understand when you're around a position coach who might not have as much input. Maybe Mac's like, Joe, we should do it this way. And Joe's like, listen, it's the offense coordinator wants to run it this way, so it doesn't really matter,
I mean, you have two guys who were hired to replace Josh, and Mac Jones arrived at camp, Bill Belichick said he had made, quote, dramatic improvement. From that point until now, it's just been a debacle. I mean, he's yanking Mac against the Bears. He's got Zappe in there. The reports are they're running a different offense for Zappe than for Mac. The one thing Bill didn't anticipate was that Mac wasn't going to just capitulate and work along with whatever they said. Brady, it took 15, 20 years for him to have a backbone and stand up when he didn't want to do things. Mac is doing that immediately, and I think that that's really what drove Bill in his lack of a desire to say it was Mac's job when Mac was returning from that ankle injury.
And that's why
I think you're naive if you didn't expect that there would be some sort of an effect when it came to losing the offensive coordinator who's been here for 15 years and worked with Bill already.
That worried me until Bill said he made a dramatic improvement. I thought having a dramatic improvement would probably outweigh who he was going to be dealing with on the sidelines.
Right, but you're asking a question saying
what question?
Or you're making a statement, you'd be naive to think there would be regression.
Yeah.
But you're the one, when Shime and I was saying there's going to be regression because of the coach and not the weapons, you're the one who said,
you said Mac was going to regress.
Yeah, but you
weren't in on it being the coaching staff's fault.
Go back and play the audio. I said that Mac will regress. And part of him regressing is what he has around him. You were the one who said Mac won't regress because he's a good enough player, and look what he was able to do. I think he's just going to be better. You were the one who
didn't count on him being out for a considerable length of time with a serious injury. You're right about that.
You're right, Greg. And also, you are totally right to say that in the absence of Josh, it was going to be more difficult in his second year. But you exacerbated that problem by replacing Josh with two people who weren't offensive coaches.
Yeah.
But if he
you
wasn't,
chose to make it more difficult on Mac than it had to be.
If he didn't,
you could have brought in like Bill O'Brien or literally any other offensive coordinator who had actually, I don't know, done the job before.
But Shime, you keep going back to Bill O'Brien. Bill didn't want to do that and lose him in a year. What good does that do you?
What good does it do you to put two guys who have never coached offense in front of your offense? It makes you the seventh worst offensive football according to EPA per play.
They're both guys who have been head coaches in the NFL.
And who have never called offensive plays.
I think they'll be able to figure it out
And they both got blown out of their jobs because they stunk as head coaches. Like, it's this weird thing where it's you hired these two guys who don't coach offensive football, who stunk as head coaches, so clearly they're not good at all three phases. They're only good at the phase that they were actually coaching for the New England Patriots. And even at the time, Matt Patricia's defenses weren't all that good. Like, Joe Judge's special teams was great. Yeah, sure, fine. Put him as the special teams coordinator. Don't make him your quarterback's coach.
And the problem becomes, like, if Matt doesn't get hurt, does that mean he's going to play well? Because
I would hope so.
Well, what I'm saying,
I would think you got Matt Patricia. Is Matt Patricia? He's coaching the offensive line too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there may be a little bit too much on his plate. Go ahead, Curtis. Food analogy.
I would never.
But when do you think it'll click? Because you say,
I don't. When you say click,
just look sharp.
They're one win away from what Wiggy predicted they would have.
Yes.
6 wins.
Yep.
So I think you may have been off a little bit there.
But does it look sharp? When will the offense be sharp?
I don't know, when the line can block somebody and not be the most penalized line in the NFL, maybe.
So then
let's blame the offensive line coach.
And if we talk about him coming back from injury, okay, so now we're 3-4 weeks back. And having the bye week, he was getting treatment. That's what he told MFM. Yeah. So he should be good to go this Sunday, correct? There should be no talk about an injury.
It should look sharp, right? When has the offense looked sharp?
What do you mean when? This season?
Yes, this season.
It looks sharp with Bailey Zappe. I cannot believe we're back on this.
No, but I'm asking the question. They played 9 games.
It looks sharp when the wide receivers can run the right routes.
But you picking and choosing now. I just asked.
So are you.
No, I asked a simple question.
Did Bailey Zappe look sharp in the second half of the Monday Night Football game against the Bears?
He
looked really sharp.
I asked a simple question. They played 9 games. When has the offense looked sharp in those 9 games?
The 3 quarters of the Ravens game.
All right. Well, clearly we can't have a conversation because you're picking and choosing. I just asked a simple question. 9 games. Wiggy, when does it look sharp?
You seem to be, to me, to be somebody who is smarter than looking at Bailey Zappe and a tiny body of work and determining that he is the quarterback for this team going forward.
That's
over
not what
Mac
we're
Jones.
asking.
Yeah, but that's not what we're saying.
No, but you've determined that.
I said the offense looks sharper with him, and you keep bringing up.
I don't believe that the offense looks sharper with him. It may have looked better dumbed down against two really bad football teams.
You didn't think that it looked sharper once he got put in Chicago before halftime?
No,
you don't think
I
the
didn't.
offense did?
No, I didn't.
But that's the problem.
I don't think it looks sharper.
Your view is so out there. Like, people can criticize me and Shime, but at least Shime and I.
Out there in what way?
Because you can't even be honest with yourself and go, okay, the only time this offense has really looked sharp is Detroit and Cleveland.
So you think
can't even be honest?
Because I don't think the offense, quite frankly, looks sharp with either guy. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, I think the offense looks awful
I don't
with
think
either
it
guy.
looks sharp.
So then say that.
I don't think I've said it.
No.
I've said it to you. I've said the two of them are basically the same quarterback.
No. That is the first time you
I've
said
said
that.
it to
no, you just said it was the O-line.
I've never once said this season that the offense looks sharp under Mac Jones. You're just making things up now.
You never
to
said
fit
that.
Your argument.
Didn't we just say it in the Ravens game?
No, you never
I
said
guess
that.
it looked good in the Ravens game for 3 quarters.
You never
needs to look good for 4 quarters.
But I never said you. I never said you.
Writing that down.
I never said that you said it looked sharp with Mac Jones. But every time we bring it up, you went to, well, the O-line stinks. The wide receivers can't get open.
It does.
You've always put the blame on somebody else.
It does. What?
You've always put
The blame is on everybody. The blame is what?
You just said. What do you expect from a guy who's
You're
playing?
never going to win. I know.
No, I'm never. I can't get an honest answer out of you.
You like to pick your way through arguments and make things fit your narrative. You're never going to win because I didn't say it.
I said this is what I said. The offense looked sharper.
I don't believe.
That's
you. You didn't say sharper. You said the offense looks sharp.
Yes.
Sharp is the word used.
Yes.
Like cheddar cheese.
Oh. Yes.
It's not sharp. The offense doesn't look sharp.
At least I can be honest with my.
At
least I can be honest with my assessment. The offense looked sharp against Detroit and Cleveland, and I've said that, and I've stuck with that.
Okay.
You've went to the O-line and this and that and all this other stuff.
You got me.
I'm not, and I don't need to get you. You get yourself.
You got me.
By the way, we have the verdict. X-Bear, Greg won that argument.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, X-Bear. I like X-Bear.
Really wise. Those are sports.
Spot on. We could settle this all with the great quarterback flush-off if the city would just agree to it. Is the city going to agree to it tomorrow, Curtis? We're going to have to push this.
I don't know if Boston can handle a flush-off and a catch-off on subsequent
Well,
days.
people need to know. I mean, if people are going to stay home and flush their toilet for their quarterback tomorrow, they need to know.
I mean, power to the people. Flush the toilets. Let's go. I think it's going to really grip the nation.
People are going to be holding it till 7:30. Like, if you're going to, who gets the first flush? Is it Bailey or Mac?
I think you got to do age before beauty.
Why would you do the first one from,
because he's the starter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mac always gets the first one.
So people are going to hold it until 7:30. They need to know now so they can go.
Well, Wiggy's kind of intimating that Zappe's a number 2, if we're going along with this analogy.
Yeah. And Christian said it. Give kudos for him saying this, that we probably wouldn't see Zappe again. Now I'm starting to believe he was probably spot on about that.
He was.
I don't think you're going to see.
Because Christian believes that Mac is the better option, as do I.
Let's see what happens against these good teams coming up. Let's
Foyer's
just
just
wait.
an idiot.
Well, no. The better option.
Foyer's an idiot. Greg's an idiot.
Well, then you could say the same thing. Then Wiggy's an idiot.
Nope.
Well, you
Wiggy
could.
is not an idiot.
Well, no, I mean,
I'm an idiot.
He is many things, but he is not an idiot.
And who does Bill believe? Bill looks like Bill believes that Mac is the better option moving forward, at least from here on out.
I think he does, but I don't know. Maybe Sunday things turn out different. They're down at halftime, and suddenly Bailey Zappe takes the field. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that until they lose 3 games in a row where Bill then goes, all right.
And if they lose to the Vikings and the Bills, I don't think that would even do
if
it.
they lose Jets, Vikings, Bills.
Yes.
They're not going to win all 3 of these games.
But are they going to lose all 3?
God,
No.
Don't be a hater.
Well, no, I just don't think they're going to. I think they'll beat the Jets.
Okay. And then
I think they have a reasonable chance of beating the Vikings. I don't know about that first game with the Bills.
Okay.
But it depends on Josh Allen, what his situation is. I mean, is any of what happened the other night with regard to him and the turnovers on an injury?
Boomer says no.
Yeah, I don't buy that, but I still think that Josh Allen is still ridiculous. That's
yeah.
a game.
And he was doing that before the injury as well. Like
Right.
he's having red zone turnover issues in
Yeah.
general right now. He's
Yeah.
like not super
when you're
anymore.
up, when you at one point weren't they up 27 to 10?
Yeah, they had 20 unanswered points.
Right, so
Like
that's-
They
you
were up
said.
17 with less than 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
And that's not on Josh Allen, right?
No.
We talked about that with Ty. Well, we're up 17 as an offense. Defense stopped them a few times. So I don't put that. I think Josh Allen is still legit. And the question is, what's that Minnesota game going to look like? You know, they're playing well. You're going down to Minnesota to play them on Thanksgiving. What does that game look like?